Connolly, the other.
Deputy Bruin on this occasion.
Well, right, okay.
Minister, you're the third minister since I was elected, and I'm only elected 2 years, 3 months. And we have continuously made the same speeches. And here we are again 2 years, 3 months later after I was elected, making the same speech in relation to begging you, imploring you to declare a national emergency. And Peter McFerry, at a conference well before I was elected, said there was a national emergency. We came into the Dáil as alternative voices, not to make your life difficult, but to try and do something about housing, health and public transport. And here we are again. And your Taoiseach today said he had no difficulty, I think earlier on today, to the Housing Committee in describing the crisis as a national emergency. Yes, he said he'd know, but it wouldn't solve the problem. And he goes on to say that the increase in figures is extremely frustrating. Now, to put it mildly, I think that's a Taoiseach that's out of his depth, because the figures aren't frustrating. The figures are an absolute scandal, and we should all be ashamed, but particularly the government that's leaving the housing to the market. And so, if we declare an emergency, Minister, that might determine, if we declare an emergency, that should determine the type of solutions that we seek, rather than the one that you have been seeking. And it was the same with Deputy Alan Kelly, it was the same with Deputy Coveney, and now you again in relation to the market. And you come in here today with a speech, and I realise you come in relation to affordable housing, but the events and the shocking figures have overtaken us, and you've changed the first part of your speech. But you haven't changed the other part, where you talk about all the hard work of the government is paying dividends. It's certainly paying dividends, but it's paying dividends for the landlords. It's paying dividends for the property investors, the REITs, the estate agents, the property developers. That's who it's paying dividends for. We know that. I don't put all the blame on you, Minister. I put the blame on the policy of the government and successive governments that say the market will provide and we can't distort the market. Isn't that the language of the neoliberals of Europe? We can't distort the market. But the market is allowed to strive people's lives. It's allowed to strive the concept of a house as a home. And so, in 2 years and 2 months, I think, that I've been here, I've seen all the tinkering, and you've accused us of being caught up with an ideological slant, and we don't see the wood from the trees. And here we are, directly as a result of your policy, and we've almost 10,000 people homeless, and of that, a 40% increase in the last month. And you know the figures, but I'm going to say them for the record. 9,807 and 3,755 of them are children. Now really, is that not a national emergency? Is that not a point where we all should say, oh God, we can't go on like this. It's time to see what we can do. It's not time to haul in all the county and city managers every single month with an update on their land banks and what they're doing about it and what are the obstacles that are stopping them. Because you've told us repeatedly there's no problem with money. But the money primarily is going on housing assistance payments, which is costing, you might give us the figures before the end of the day in relation to HAP and what it's doing. And I come from a city in Galway where the figures, and I'm going to give them, in this time last year, and this is following your policies, this time last year we had 182 adults without a house or a home. This year, this month, we have 237. Last year we had 63 children. Now we have 146 children. Now, isn't that a major, major emergency? Isn't it time to say, if we look at Galway and somebody's on a waiting list since 2002, our housing policy isn't working? And we cannot talk about affordable housing. It's an absolute insult without a direct housing build. Without the government saying, we are entering the market, we are sending out a strong message. That's the only way to calm the market. Yes, we need the market to provide homes, but we need government through local authorities to build directly, to bring the prices down. And I'll finish in relation to Galway, that's adding to the crisis. And I've mentioned it before, we bought land at astronomical values when I was a councillor. I was part of that, I okayed that and got loans. That land is sitting there. And more than 2/3 of it is frozen for a road that's not going to go ahead, that's adding to the problem. And in the meantime, we're looking at the remaining land banks to give them over to public-private partnerships and to build affordable houses that won't be affordable when we should be building public housing to balance the market.